Well, hello to my timeless beauties. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In today's video, I wanted to circle back to one of my first videos that I filmed called My Stage 3 Cancer Journey. And in that video, I talked through being diagnosed out of the blue with stage 3 breast cancer. And I talked through the impacts that that had in various parts of my life, which is obviously huge because it was a huge deal. And I mentioned in that video that I wanted to come back to the spiritual journey that I went on during that time. I do touch on it in that video, but it's something that I think deserved its own space to discuss. And I felt like today was that day. So here we are. So I'm 45 years old and I was diagnosed in 2019. So I was 43 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had a daughter, still have a daughter. At the time, she was in her first year of schooling and she was 5 years old. So basically, I'm not a spring chicken. I didn't grow up in a religious household or a spiritual household. We were a very practical family, but it's not something was ever really part of my life growing up. As I've gotten older, these are things that I have contemplated. Is there, life beyond this realm? What does it all mean? All those existential questions that one asks themselves at some point in their life. And a bit of that whole, is that this all there is? Because I was definitely in a position where I was really in the day-to-day Groundhog Day vibe, which was getting up early, getting to work early, working like a maniac in quite a senior managerial position, leaving work, rushing to pick my daughter up from after school care from her primary school, rushing home and spending quality time with her and taking her to any classes that she was going to, dance class or swimming class or whatever that may be, getting dinner on the table, sorting out all the life admin and domestic duties, and then going to bed and doing it all the next day. And I have to say, I knew that I wasn't happy during that, but it was a really hard thing for me to know what was the alternative, because you have to work, you have to make money, you have responsibilities, and I love my job and I loved my family, but there was something missing and I couldn't put my finger on what that was. So being diagnosed with cancer, it was, as you can imagine, quite a wake-up call in many ways. It had me questioning many things. I had to take 6 months off work and I had a real association with my job and my position there. And so if I didn't have that, there was a lot of questioning, well, who was I and what was my purpose? After a year and a half of treatments and taking 6 months off, I found myself in a position of returning to work, albeit during a global pandemic where I was working from home. So something had changed there, which was interesting. But for the most part, I was worried that I was going back to that Groundhog Day existence. And I didn't want to do that. Like, I wanted this to be a positive, life-changing event for me. And when you go through trauma, whether that's a cancer diagnosis, a relationship breakdown, a marriage breakdown, a death in your family, whatever that is the opportunity, I truly believe, for reinvention and for opening yourself up for other possibilities and opportunities in your life. You might think your life is going like this, and then something happens and you go like this, and it's like, do you want to go back up to this again? Or, do you want to do something different? It's that Robert Lowell poem about there were two paths in the woods and how they diverge, and the path that you take making all the difference to your life. I really felt I was on that crossroads in the woods, like, where am I going with this? Am I going back to where I was, or am I going somewhere else? Now, I did go and have one appointment with a psychologist to talk about that very subject, because part of me wanted to sell everything up and, move to the beach or to the country and be self-sufficient and leave the, corporate rat race behind and, put my kid in a bush school and, live off the land, even though I have no idea how to do that. But another part was like, well, am I actually I do love my job. I feel like I'm good at my job. Am I unhappy at my job? No. So where is this unhappiness sitting? Like, I really do believe a lot of people think that the current circumstances they are in cause them unhappiness. But then when they change that, like they might move different states or whatever it is, you know, you if you haven't dealt with that unhappiness, you're going to take it with you and have that unhappiness just in a different location. So I really wanted to kind of try and pinpoint what was going on with me and what is it that I wanted to change, if it even was anything that I wanted to change, or whether it was more my outlook on life and my attitude towards life. So I was feeling quite confused. So I went and saw a psychologist and just kind of talked it through. Now, she was great in that she, you know, just let me talk and basically said, do whatever you want to do. Like, don't worry about what other people think or, you know, what you think you should be doing. She said, just, you know, move to the country, do whatever you want to do, be brave. And I did take that on board, but I also thought, I'm not asking the right question here, because it wasn't a point of being brave. And I just felt like I didn't even know what the question was that I wanted answered. It's like when you have this spiritual, I don't say crisis, I guess spiritual dilemma. It is hard to put into words what it is that you're looking for, and therefore how do you go about solving that issue? And you're not 100% sure what the issue even is. So I felt like I was kind of stuck. And I was also, during that time, I was okay during the day, but when I went to bed at night time, I would find that I had terrible insomnia and I was quite anxious at night time. So I was like, during the day, I could kind of distract myself with work and family and just day-to-day life. But when I went to bed at night time, that's when kind of the fear would set in about, cancer come back, what am I doing in my life? Like, am I happy? What do I, you know, where is my life going? Is it, you know, I'm having a midlife crisis here. I mean, I'm hopefully midlife. Hopefully I live till I'm 90. I had all these questions, but I wasn't even really sure what the questions were to begin with to even find those answers. It was complicated. But I feel sure that a lot of people feel the same way, which is why I wanted to talk through this and make this video in the first place. I'm going to go back in time a little bit. A few years ago, prior to the cancer diagnosis, I had purchased my partner a voucher for a hypnotist to give up smoking. Now, he had smoked for years and years and years, like since he was a teenager, and he was struggling to quit even though he really wanted to. And I thought, why not give this a go? So I bought this voucher and I spoke to the hypnotherapist and said, you know, I'd like to give my partner this voucher for Christmas. And he said to me, now I will meet Ben, my partner, and talk to him. But if I believe that he's not ready, then I will give you your money back, because he said he 100% guarantees that he can change the habit of smoking, but only if that person really wants to. And I went, okay, that sounds like a good deal to me. So Ben had his session with the hypnotherapist and he came home and he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, I am no longer a smoker. And he threw out all his cigarettes, and that was several years ago, and he hasn't picked up a cigarette ever since, which was amazing. So fast forward a few years and I remember that guy. I remember that chat with him, and I definitely felt a connection with him, even though it was just a chat over the phone. I looked up his website and I saw that he had a course on insomnia. And I contacted him and said, look, I've gone through this health crisis. I'm at the other end, but I'm having trouble sleeping. Is this something you can help me with? And he said to me, look, sleeping is a bit trickier because insomnia is definitely related to anxiety. And he said it can take a few sessions to kind of uncover what that anxiety is and that kind of blockage that's keeping you awake at night, and your mind's just going around in circles, but it's not really getting anywhere or solving anything. So he said it will take about 4 sessions, but he felt really confident he could help me. So those sessions were probably one of the most life-changing things I have ever done. They were amazing. Now, this is all during lockdown again. It was on Zoom. I just connected with him instantly. And we did a few sessions talking about where that anxiety was coming from and what I'd been through. And then we went through some guided hypnotherapy sessions. Now, the major one, which went for about an hour and a half. Now, I'd never been under hypnosis before, and I was like one of those people who's like, can you even put me under hypnosis? Well, turns out you can. The hypnosis, if you've never done it, it's fascinating. I remember everything that I said during that session. He recorded it and I listened back to it, that hour-and-a-half massive session, and it is what I remember. I don't remember thinking I'm going to say something crazy or I'm out of control here or what's going on. I was very clear-headed. I thought very clearly, and it was just fascinating watching, kind of observing my subconscious coming to the fore and taking me through my anxieties. It's a really hard thing to explain, but I will explain what happened. So, when he put me under hypnosis, now I have no idea how he does that, but he, that's what he did. And I had my eyes closed. I was sitting in this very chair. And he said, what can you see? And I said, I can see these tunnels. And it was like tunnels in a fog or a mist or a smoke, but they're these tunnels. And they're opening and then they're going away and closing. And then another tunnel appears and it's opening in front of me and then it's closing again. And I was just observing this. And in the hypnosis, I was above and I was looking down on these tunnels that were underneath me. This went on for some time. I was just seeing these tunnels. And he said to me, do you want to go down any of them? Like, what do any of them, is there a tunnel that's more appealing than another tunnel? And I was like, no, there's not. They're just opening and closing. So that happened for a while. And I was like, is this what's going to happen for the next hour and a half? This could be quite boring. But anyway, he was probably thinking the same thing. But no, it wasn't. So then I was aware that there was a really bright sun to my upper left. It was so bright that in reality, in my physical body, my eyes were watering. Now, there was no sun in the room. That was not happening anywhere externally, but in my mind, there was this beautiful sun. It's a beautiful day, and my eyes were watering. And there were butterflies, and I was not looking at it, but I was part of it. And then I said to him, I can see something over to my right. So I got the sun up there and I could see something over to my right. And he said, do you want to go check out what that is? And I turned my chair, still with my eyes closed, and I could see from a distance, it was the opposite to the sun. It was grey, it was grainy, and something was going on. There was some kind of kerfuffle going on in the distance. And I just watched it for a while. And then I said to him, there's a war going on over there. There's a battle. That's a battlefield. And I can see soldiers fighting. And I could see and hear gunshot. And it was happening at night time. So it was very grainy. Couldn't see much. I could see these shadows. And I knew that there was a physical war going on with guns. And then I started to cry. He said, do you want to go over there? And I said, no. And even just thinking about it now, I feel quite sad. Like it was a really sad scene. And it was not something that I wanted to go towards. And the hypnotherapist said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to turn my back on that and I want to turn and face my son again, my son. And I turned my chair and faced the sun and felt the sun. And when I was looking at that battle, I could feel the sun on my back. So it was like a warm hug comforting me while I was watching this terrible scene. So I faced the sun, and then he said to me, this has all gone on over an hour and a half. I've condensed it a lot. He said to me, okay, tell me what all that meant. He said, what is the sun? And I said, as clear as day, listen to the recording again, and at clear as day, with no hesitation, I said, the sun is the love of my family and friends. And then he said, what was the battle? And I said, the battle was literally my battle with cancer over the last year and a half. And then he said, what were the tunnels? And I said, the tunnels are my future. And none of them are right or wrong. There are just many paths. It's like the paths diverging in the wood. They are there, they are opening, they're showing bits of themselves to me, and I will know when I'm ready to go down one of them, and it won't be the right or the wrong one. Well, it will be the right one, but it won't be the wrong one, but I will know when I am ready to go down that tunnel and that everything's going to be okay. And the butterflies, when I was feeling that sunshine, it's my daughter and her love and our connection. So after that session, I just felt amazing. I think I had to go have a sleep, but I felt like this weight had lifted off me, and I felt that everything had its place and its time, and that I had my place and my time. And I also realized, who am I? And he would ask me that a lot during these sessions. He'd say, who are you? And I never knew what to answer. But after having this experience, it became really clear to me who I am. And who you are is also what you're not. And I'm not this body, and I'm not this cancer or this battle. I'm not my job. I'm not my role as mother or partner or friend. I'm me, I'm my spirit. I'm my connection to this physical world and to the spiritual world. Having this realization, it has been so freeing. I never get stressed anymore. I used to get stressed a lot at work. I have a job where I'm dealing with a lot of people, and I used to take on their stress. If people were going through a hard time and talking to me, I would be taking on their hard time too, and I found it really hard to separate that. And now I'm more empathetic to what they're going through, but I can also separate myself from that and not take on that physical pain, which has been really liberating. And it's made me a better boss and a better partner and a better mother. You know, when you meet someone and they have just this chaotic energy, and I felt like I had that chaotic energy inside me, but I had this mask of being very calm. And if you'd asked any of my work colleagues years ago to describe me, I'm only guessing, but I can guess that they would probably say that I was calm, logical, and reasonable, and it would take a lot to upset me. Now, that was true on my facade, what I was showing to the world, but it wasn't true on the inside. I was a wreck. I was exhausted. I was quite fragile internally, and my insides weren't matching my outsides. It was my brief, I remember, to the therapist. I'm like, I want my insides and outsides to match, because it is quite exhausting to cultivate this kind of calm exterior all the time, or try to as much as possible, when you're feeling chaotic inside. Now that chaos has just gone. I don't feel it. It takes a lot to even slightly ignite it. Whereas before, I felt like I had it all the time. Again, I don't know whether I could find that calmness or that stillness without going through what I went through and really feeling very close to my mortality. I remember hearing Jerry Seinfeld saying that if he had discovered, I think it was transcendental meditation, while he was doing Seinfeld, the show Seinfeld, he could have done it for another 50 years, because he found his stillness and allowed him not to be exhausted. And I feel the same way. I have so much energy now. I'm doing YouTube videos, I work full time, I have another business on the side, and none of it feels overwhelming in the slightest. And having that calm interior and that kind of really solid sense that this is who I am has really allowed me to pursue all kinds of things, which is what I'm doing now. And again, it comes back to, which is what I mentioned in my cancer journey video, Eckhart Tolle notion of the power of now. Like, we only have this moment, we only have this minute that we're in now, I say to people all the time, don't stress about something that hasn't happened yet, but it's a really hard thing to do, but I can now do it because I've kind of found that really solid sense of self and awareness and connection. You know, it's that everything is connected concept, which is so true. I used to go for a long walk and get home and think, I've just been thinking about this work issue or whatever's going on, and I couldn't describe anything that I saw. But now, because I'm living in that moment, all I do is appreciate that stuff. So nature, that connection to nature and to other people as well. Everything feels like it has more meaning. But that meaning comes from a really calm place, not from a place of stress or a place of chaos or a place of passion. It feels like a calm place, which just makes everything easier. My hypnotherapist, he really believes in that our spirits that reincarnate into different bodies. And I never really even thought about that, to be honest, but he did suggest that I read, which I have, Michael Newton's books, Journey of the Souls and The Life Between Lives. This is getting a little bit woo-woo, but I did really connect with those books, and it did explain a lot to me, things that I've felt before about being here before, or that kind of spiritual sense, or even just watching my daughter grow up and the connection that I have with her and my partner as well. Like, I've always said to him, we've been together in many lives before, and he agrees, and he is like the most unwoo-woo guy you could come across. But we've been through enough together to know that that's true. And just even the way that our daughter came into our lives, that is a story for another video, but that felt like that was meant to be, and that she was meant to be in this life with us. And I've gone through a few things in my life. Cancer was one of them. I also went through this monumental, horrendous breakup many years ago before I met my current partner, and I've been with him for like almost 14 years, so quite a while. But in my 20s, I was in a relationship where I almost married this guy, and then it exploded in the most dramatic way possible. And I always looked back on that, and even at the time, and I thought, this is the universe telling me this is not the guy for you. And because I wasn't listening to my instincts that this was not the guy for me, the universe had to blow that situation up for me in such a way that there is no possibility that we would ever get back together or anything, you know, never seen him since the day we broke up, that kind of thing, that kind of explosion. It's happened with work as well. I've been made redundant from a job that I probably wouldn't have left, but it directly led me into the path of the work that I'm in now, that I absolutely love. So I've always been a firm believer that the universe will disrupt what's going on in your life to put you back on the right track if it looks like you're not doing it. And I really feel like for me, the cancer was another example of that. It was like, you are here and you're not moving and you're not happy. I'm going to blow this path up. So you're going to have to go back to basics and work out who you are, where you're going, and a big reset. And that's kind of how I've taken this on. But the Journey of the Souls book and the Life in Between Lives books, it is that notion that, you know, we are spirits. We get put into different bodies, into different lives. And that people who are your soulmates, not just in a romantic sense, but your soulmates as your friends in your life, are probably people who have been your soulmates in different lives as well. And that's a really kind of crazy concept. It's hard to explain, but when I read that, I was like, I could pick those people. Like, yes, you and you. I knew when I met you that individuals that we have been in lives together before, and that we understand each other fundamentally, and that we'll be in lives together again in the future. And that's a really comforting thought. It just really resonated with me. I'll link those books below if you're interested. But yeah, that might be a video for another day as well, because that's quite a major topic. But it just, again, it's just given me this great comfort. Anyway, I think I'll wrap that up for today, because I think that's quite a lot. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Be interested to get some feedback on it, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.